Good people, what's up? Welcome. If you're new here, my name is Farron. I am a practicing CAA, and I also create content to encourage y'all to show up as your best selves, whether that's personally or professionally, so that y'all can start living y'all's best life, okay? Because we only got one life and we ain't practicing, okay? Obviously, y'all clicked this video because y'all are on y'all way, y'all are chasing a dream, chasing a goal, but you're not quite sure where you stand at, okay? You don't really know, like, are you making progress or are you moving backwards? Are you really as good as you think you are, okay? So first of all, let me just say I can definitely relate to that because as a student, I think that for me, it made it a little difficult because I feel like you work with the professionals, you work with whoever, and you see these people who are already in the position that you want to be in. And you're looking at them like, dang, y'all got it all together. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't see their process, you just see the results, okay? And it makes you look at yourself like, oh my gosh, like, can I do this? Am I close to this? Like, I don't have the confidence they have right now. Or, it just kind of makes you compare where they are to where you are right now, And if you do that, you gonna look like you ain't did nothing and you ain't ready for nothing, okay? So let's talk about how to actually measure where you are and how you're doing when it comes to your goals, okay? Okay, so if you go on YouTube, everyone is kind of talking about, oh, set systems, not goals, okay? This is not that video, okay? Because I am a firm believer that you need goals and a system. For me, I think it's important to have a goal marker because you need direction. The goal tells you where you're trying to go to. If you have systems in place and you're doing the work, but you don't know the destination, what are we doing? Where are we going, and how do we know if we got there? How do we know that we achieved what it was that we were trying to achieve so that we can move on to the next thing, okay? So just for an example, as a student, as a CAA, I set my goal to be like, okay, well, I want to be able to do robotic cases on my own by the end of first year, okay? That was how I could figure out, was I making the right, like, was I on track and learning everything that I felt like I needed to go to be able to do that, okay? So setting a very specific goal is very important. You have to know where you're going. And that doesn't just apply to like AA stuff or, professionally. It can also be personal. Like if you're like, okay, well, I know I want to go on a trip. Okay, cool. When do you want to go on a trip? Where are you going? How much does the trip cost? Okay, because all of these are going to help you form that very specific goal. So if it's October and you going to Greece in February, and the trip gonna cost me $4,000 or $5,000. If I want to splurge, it's gonna cost me $6,000. Okay, well, now I know what the goal is. Now I can reset and put some things into place to get me closer to that place. Okay. The other thing about setting a goal, besides it being having a goal marker, besides it being specific, is it gives you a chance to reflect, okay? You got to check your receipts every day because you got your goal and you're showing up and you're putting in the work, but you got to check those receipts. And what I mean by that is you have to say, at the end of the day, you have to say, what did I do really well at? Like, what did I shine in today, okay? So for me, I might say, okay, I got the induction flow down. Like from the time my patient comes in the room to they're on the bed, I pushed all my induction drugs in the right order, all of those things. Okay, that's one step closer to our goal. So not only does that let you map out where you are, but it also gives you a chance to like smell your flowers, okay? Because I know sometimes we get too caught up in the process and we feel like we're not moving, but it's also just because we just haven't reflected on what things we've done. Like I'm on day 2 and I'm not really saying it's day 2, let's just say day 20, and now I got induction done, whereas, okay, well, 20 days ago, you couldn't do that. You didn't even know, how to cut the lights on in the room for real. So it's important to do that. On the other hand, it's also important to say, where was I weak at today? Where was I sucky? You know what I mean? So that allows you, so if you know where you struggled at and you know what you did well at, take that struggle and now say, okay, well, this is a small part that I have to get good at, and it's going to push that needle just 1%. And then the next day you're going to show up 1% better than you did the day before, okay? The other thing I would say on how to measure where you are you really growing? Ask someone else. Ask someone you trust though, okay? Like, don't ask somebody who can't give a compliment to save their life for real, okay? Like, haters are going to be haters forever. Some people just don't want to see you win. So make sure that you're trusting someone, that you're asking someone that you trust for this type of advice. Make sure that they're able to tell you, like, hey, you could be stronger in this area, but you really showed up well over here. Okay. Make sure that you have someone who's dynamic and who can acknowledge your wins and give you some constructive criticism. Okay. So set your goal marker and ask an external source, like, hey, how am I doing? How did I show up today? Have you noticed anything different about me lately? Have you noticed some places where I can improve? Also, for your tracking, you can mentally track it, but I find it easier to write it down so that you can visualize it. So in the description below, there are some links to some journals, some trackers, all those types of things. I just think it's important for you to visualize where you at. You know what I'm saying? Also, you can also just leave yourself a voice note on your phone if that's quicker for you. But either way, you have to have a way of keeping up with things. So now that we have our goal marker, we have to have some systems. We have to place some systems into place so that we can get to our goal. This is where the systems come in, okay? Understand that having systems clears up mental space for you to be able to go tackle other things, okay? Because what you're doing is you're actually training your mind and your body. And you're kind of training your body to take over some things so that your mind don't got to think about things all the time, right? So, for example, this is what that might look like. This is how I practice. I do what I call visual acting, okay? So what that looks like for me, or what it looked like for me as a CAA, is I would walk into the room and I would close my eyes. Or you don't have to be in the room. You can be at home. You close your eyes and you visualize everything that you would do, everything that you're about to do. So I would say the patient came in. I called out what time the patient came in. We moved the bed over. We moved the patient over. I grabbed the fluids. I moved it to the other side so as to not pull out any IVs. After that, I put on my blood pressure cuff and I went ahead and ran the blood pressure. I went ahead and put my pulse ox on because I got to know what their O2 sets are. I put my stickers on. Okay, boom, because I need to know what their heart rate is doing. All right, what's next? I need a mask. I need to pre-oxygenate them. So I'm running through every single step that I'm going to do before I even do it. And I run that 1,000,000 times, okay? Because at some point your body is going to take over, and at some point you won't have to think about it, okay? And even so, even if you're just running through it, maybe you don't have to think about the next step because you've already memorized it, okay? So maybe your body doesn't know it yet, but your mind has definitely memorized it. So you can always keep moving. You're not stuck and you're not paused, okay? And this can apply to other things, okay? So let's just say you want to get into skincare or something like that. You want to get your skincare routine. You've been popping up little bumps. I can understand it, okay? And there'd be a lot of products you're trying to keep up with. Same thing. Once you start practicing and you're visualizing, okay, well, I know I need to put the soap on. Okay, I know that I need to hydrate. What do I use for hydration? When you're going through that, you build up those muscles in your brain, and you build up those muscles in your body, so where you're not thinking about it anymore. You're just showing up and your body's doing the work so that your mind can think about something else. It can think about the next critical thing, okay? So aside from visual acting, which, like I said, you can apply that to kind of anything that you're trying to do. Skincare, learn a recipe, give a presentation, whatever it is you're trying to do. You're just trying to build that muscle up so you can think about other important things. The other thing is simplify your system. Make it as easy for you as possible, okay? So that might look like this. Okay, let's say that you are starting a business, but you're not the best with money. You've read your books, you're on your way, but there are just certain responsibilities that you have to make sure that you're fulfilling. And I can speak from this because now that I'm 1099, I kind of, I handle my own money and all of the things. So there are things I had to learn, a gap I had to fill. So instead of me logging into 10 websites to pay 10 different bills, okay, running payroll and doing all those things, I have those things automated, okay? So there are things that I don't have to think about. So I know that the bills are going to come out on the 1st. I don't have to go in and check. They're going to come out on the 1st, okay? I know that I outsourced my payroll. I'm going to get paid on the 7th, the 8th, whatever like that, because it's already coming. That's not something extra that I have to do, okay? My 401k has already come out. It's already being pushed out to the stocks or whatever it is that I want it to go. So smaller things that you can automate, do that, because it's going to save you time. And for my control freaks, okay, I'm not being loud because I could relate a little bit. I understand that we like to have our hand on everything, and we like to see what's going in, what's going out. We like to be able to control as much as we can. But here's the thing. You signing in to 10 websites or whatever it is to click a button to pay a bill, that's not the thing that you need to be in control of. Okay, like let them automate that. There are more important things that you need to have better control of. More, you need that mental space and that energy, that controlling energy, to go somewhere else. I know that don't sound the healthiest, but it's a process. Okay, we're gonna get there every little step that we can get there. Okay, so now that we have our goal marker, okay, we know we have to reflect on it. We have our systems put in place to get us close to the goal. Now we're at that point where, okay, well, I'm showing up every day, but how do I maintain that go-getter spirit, that I'm a boss, like I got this, we gonna get to our best life, we gonna work hard every day, boom, 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 boom. How do I maintain that vibe without, I don't know, cussing everybody out, wanting to isolate, or just giving up entirely? Because I'm gonna be honest, some days, like, I'd be cool, I have a very productive Monday, and then on Tuesday I'd be like, I don't want to hear none of that, I don't want to do none of that. So how do we maintain that vibe? And what I'll say is there's going to be two things. One is going to be self-care. Just like Farron, you just told us everything we need to keep going and go get it and chase our dreams and all these things. But the one thing you have to know is you cannot pour from an empty cup, okay? You cannot pour into yourself, and you sure can't pour into nobody else, okay? So understand that rest is holy and it is so necessary. And you cannot be afraid to pause and regroup and renew, because you have to know that just because you paused your work, God didn't pause his work. He is still very much working everything out for your good. He is still very much going ahead and making your crooked path straight, okay? So you can rest and trust that he's handling everything while you rejuvenate, while you renew, so that you can show up and give your system 100% of your energy. You can give your goals 100% of your focus and your attention, because you're there, you're present, okay? So take an extra 15 minutes in your skincare routine, okay? Go play the game with your friends. Like it can't be all work. No play. There's a time for sacrifice, right? But there's also a time for rest. There's a time for joy. We only get this one life, okay? Don't be 80 and being like, Dad, I worked for 80 years and didn't go on not one trip because I was trying to secure a bag. Like, we're not doing that, okay? There's a way to align it where we can have both, okay? That second thing that I want to talk to y'all about is soft discipline. So people are kind of throwing this word out all the time, but this is what I want y'all to take from it. Let's say you're like, I really want to be active. I want to run. My body's getting older. I need to maintain some things. I can't bend without snap, crackle, and pop. So I want to run every day. Well, it's Saturday morning. It done rained outside. You tired because you was out partying last night. You don't really feel like running for real. Okay, you ain't really trying to hear that. Now, I'm not speaking from personal experience. Because I do my runs. Anyway. So maybe you don't run the 30 minutes or the hour that you had planned, but maybe you stretch for 15, 30 minutes. Okay. So making those worthy compromises. And then understanding, you have to recognize and be able to discern when you're being lazy and when your body actually needs to rest. And then once you figure out which one it is, act accordingly. Okay. Don't push yourself past what you really need to be going, but also know when you tripping and you just don't want to go running. Okay, make a compromise so that maybe I didn't run, but I still gave my body what it needed. Okay, and then you go back and you reflect. Okay, so those are my tips, and those are the things. I'm not even gonna say tips. Those are the lessons that I'm currently learning about. How do I measuring growth? How do I set systems? How do I not burn myself out, but keep pushing the needle? Okay. And I'm not just talking to y'all, like, this is for you and I. Okay, we are very much in this together. We are very much both chasing our dreams. Okay, so don't think I have it all together. Okay, we locked in, twin. Okay, let's make this a good week. Let's set our goals. Let's keep track of them. Let's put our systems into place, and let's give ourselves grace while we do it. Okay, like let's do this thing. All right, that is my talk for today. Listen, y'all, make it a great week. I'll see y'all later.